My boss turned our jobs into a competition. Only one of us was supposed to survive. And the rest laid off. The email hit my inbox at 3:17 p.m. Subject line, Project Leaderboard, Week 3 Update. My name was at the bottom. In red. The woman sitting 10 feet away from me, Jessica Chin, was at the top in green. 40% ahead. And in that moment I knew two things. 1, I was about to lose my job. 2, my boss didn't want me to survive. He wanted us to destroy each other. But what he didn't expect was that one of us would refuse to play. The office was quiet in the way hospitals are quiet, like everyone was waiting for bad news. I could feel eyes on me from the cubicles around mine, waiting to see if I'd crack. My phone buzzed. Another text from my wife. Called the school again. They want to meet tomorrow. Can you make it this time? I typed back, I'll try, knowing I probably wouldn't. Knowing she knew it too. Brian, our boss, walked past my desk without looking at me. That's when I knew. When your boss stops making eye contact, you're already gone. He just hasn't signed the paperwork yet. I had maybe 2 weeks left to turn this around. 2 weeks to save my job, my family, everything. My code wouldn't compile. Again. Third time that day. I slammed my laptop shut hard enough that people turned to look. Jessica glanced over from her desk near the window, her screen showing perfectly organized charts and green check marks. She caught my eye and something passed between us. Pity maybe. Or worse, sympathy. I grabbed my coffee cup and walked to the break room before anyone could see my face. The cup was empty. I'd forgotten to fill it. Story of my life lately. Everything falling apart and I couldn't even remember to pour coffee. That's when Jessica appeared in the doorway. Hey, she said quietly. You got a minute? I didn't want to hear it. Whatever motivational speech she had prepared, whatever kind words about how I'd bounce back, I didn't want any of it. But I nodded anyway because what else could I do? I think I know what's wrong with your code, she said. 6 weeks earlier. The day Brian announced the exciting new initiative, we were all crammed into the conference room that smelled like old coffee and broken dreams. He had that fake enthusiasm that managers get when they're about to ruin your life but want you to be grateful for it. I'm implementing a performance tracking system, he said, clicking to a slide with a literal scoreboard graphic. Think of it as gamification. Healthy competition. May the best person win. Nobody asked what the winner got. We all knew what the loser got. Pink slip. Box. Security escort to your car. I looked around the room. 12 of us. Marketing had just laid off 8 people the week before. Engineering was next. We all knew it. Brian knew we knew it. That's why he was smiling. Jessica sat across from me, taking notes in her precise handwriting. We'd worked together for 3 years but never really talked beyond project updates and birthday cake in the break room. She was the kind of person who arrived early and left late, whose code always worked the first time, who probably had her retirement fully funded and a perfect credit score. I was the kind of person who was barely holding on. My wife Rachel had stopped kissing me goodbye in the morning. She'd just hand me my travel mug with that look that said she was calculating how long until she could afford to leave. Our son Tyler had punched another kid at school last week. The principal used words like behavioral issues and intervention, and my stomach had twisted into knots that still hadn't come undone. I needed this job. I needed it like air. Partners will be assigned randomly, Brian continued, but you'll be scored individually. Complete transparency. Leaderboard updates every Monday. My phone buzzed. Tyler's school. Again. I silenced it. Brian's eyes flicked to me, registered the movement, registered that I'd just ignored a call during his meeting. Another mark against me in whatever mental ledger he kept. The project was building a new customer analytics platform. Whoever could develop the most functional modules with the cleanest code and best performance metrics would prove their value. Everyone else would prove expendable. Jessica got assigned the data visualization components. I got assigned the back-end integration work. On paper, equal difficulty. In reality, mine was a nightmare of legacy systems and undocumented APIs that 3 previous developers had failed to crack. After the meeting, I sat at my desk and Googled how to update my resume, before remembering that I hadn't updated mine in 6 years. I didn't even remember my login for LinkedIn. My phone rang again. Tyler's school. I answered this time. Mr. Patterson, we need you to come in immediately. There's been another incident. Tyler had barricaded himself in the supply closet. That's what the vice principal told me when I got there, 45 minutes late because traffic was hell and my car was making a noise that probably meant another bill I couldn't pay. He's not in danger, she said, like that was supposed to make me feel better. But he won't come out and he won't tell us why. I stood outside the closet door. Gray metal. Scratch. Someone had carved class of 2019 into it years ago. I knocked softly. Todd. It's Dad. Can you open up? Silence. Then, so quiet I almost missed it. Did you lose your job yet? The words hit me like a punch. I looked at the vice principal. She had the decency to look away. No, buddy. I didn't lose my job. Mom said you were going to. She said we might have to move. She was crying. I pressed my forehead against the cool metal. Rachel and I had fought last night after Tyler went to bed. Except he hadn't gone to bed. He'd heard everything. I heard her say she couldn't do this anymore. Heard me say I was trying. Heard her laugh, that sad laugh that meant she'd stopped believing in trying. I'm working really hard to make sure that doesn't happen, I said. But I need you to come out, okay? We'll figure this out together. The lock clicked. The door opened. Tyler looked up at me with eyes that were too old for an 8-year-old. Eyes that had seen too much fear in his own house. I'm sorry, he whispered. I drove him home. Rachel's car wasn't in the driveway. She was probably at her sister's again, planning her exit strategy. I made Tyler mac and cheese from a box and we ate in silence while I watched my work laptop ping with messages I couldn't bring myself to open. Brian, missed the 2 p.m. stand-up. Is everything okay? Jessica, wanted to check in about your module integration. Let me know if you need anything. HR, please schedule a meeting to discuss recent attendance issues. I put Tyler to bed, checked that all the doors were locked, and sat down at my laptop at 9 p.m. 5 hours of work stared back at me. Code that wouldn't compile. Deadlines I was already missing. A leaderboard where my name was falling further down with each passing day. My phone buzzed. Rachel, staying at Lisa's tonight. We need space. I opened a beer. Then another. Then I stared at my screen until the words stopped making sense and I fell asleep at the kitchen table with my head on my keyboard. When I woke up at 3 a.m., neck screaming, there was a new message. Jessica. Sent at 11 p.m. I think I found the issue with your integration. Want to grab coffee before stand-up tomorrow? I have some ideas. The coffee shop near the office was the kind of place that charged $7 for a latte and had names for sizes that nobody could remember. I got there 15 minutes early because being late to this felt like it would break something I couldn't afford to break. Jessica was already there. Of course she was. 2 cups sat on the table in front of her. Got you a medium coffee, black, she said. That's what you always get from the break room, right? I sat down. The cup was warm in my hands. You didn't have to do this. I know. She pulled out her laptop. So I was looking at your integration logs last night. Why? She paused, fingers hovering over her keyboard. Because the system architecture doesn't make sense. Your module keeps breaking but mine doesn't, and we're pulling from the same legacy database. That's not random. I watched her pull up a network diagram. She'd annotated it with notes, highlighted connection points, traced data flows in different colors. How long did this take you? Couple hours. She zoomed in on a specific node. Look, every time your code tries to authenticate with the old customer database, it routes through this deprecated API gateway. But mine doesn't. Mine goes through the new pathway because I'm only pulling display data, not writing anything back. I stared at the diagram. So my module is fundamentally harder. Your module is set up to fail. She looked at me directly. I don't think it's an accident. The coffee burned my throat when I swallowed. You think Brian sabotaged my assignment. I think Brian is a lot of things and fair isn't one of them. She turned her laptop so we could both see it. Here's what I'm thinking. What if we restructure your authentication flow to mirror mine? It'll take some refactoring, but it's doable. That's your competitive advantage. Why would you give that to me? Jessica was quiet for a moment. Outside the window, people rushed past with their briefcases and their certainty, living lives that weren't crumbling. My mom got laid off when I was 12, she said finally. Tech company merger. One day she had a job, next day she didn't. We lost our house 6 months later. I watched her try to hold it together, watched her pretend everything was fine while she sold our furniture piece by piece. She closed her laptop. I learned 2 things. 1, companies don't care about you. They'll throw you away the second it benefits them. 2, the only thing that matters is what you can live with when you look in the mirror. She met my eyes. I can live with helping you. I can't live with winning because someone rigged the game. I wanted to say something meaningful. Instead, I just said, thank you. Don't thank me yet. You've still got to do the work. I can show you the path, but you have to walk it. She stood up. Come to my desk after stand-up. Bring your laptop. We'll work through it together. The office after 6 p.m. was a different world. The fluorescent lights hummed in a pitch that felt like loneliness. Jessica's desk lamp cast shadows that made the empty cubicles look like a graveyard of abandoned dreams. Okay, walk me through your authentication sequence again, Jessica said, pen in hand. I'd been there for 2 hours. My code was spread across 3 monitors, red error messages blinking like warning signs. It authenticates with my credentials, requests a session token, then tries to write the customer interaction data back to the legacy system. I ran it again. Same error. And it fails right there. Because the legacy system doesn't recognize your token format. Jessica highlighted a block of code. You're using the new token structure, but the old system expects the previous version. It's literally speaking 2 different languages. So how do I? You don't. She pulled up her own code. You use a translator layer. A middleware function that converts between the formats. I wrote one for my reading operations. You need one for write operations. Here. She started typing, explaining as she went. I watched her fingers fly across the keyboard, watched her brain work 3 steps ahead of where I was stuck. Every few minutes she'd pause, make sure I was following, then continue. My phone buzzed. Rachel, Tyler's asking when you'll be home. I told him I don't know. I silenced it. You should probably get that, Jessica said without looking up. It can wait. She stopped typing. No, it can't. I've seen how you check your phone during meetings. Whatever's happening at home, it's killing you. I didn't want to talk about it. But sitting there in the empty office, exhausted and desperate and so tired of pretending everything was fine, the words just came out. My wife is leaving me. My kid is having behavioral problems because he knows we're falling apart. And if I lose this job, I lose everything. I laughed, but it sounded broken. So yeah, the phone can wait. Jessica saved her work. I'm going to tell you something my mom told me when we were living in our car that summer after the eviction. She said the people who survive aren't always the smartest or the strongest. They're the ones who can ask for help. I'm asking for help. You're accepting help. There's a difference. She stood up, stretched. I'm going to grab another coffee. When I get back, you're going to call your wife. Tell her you'll be home in an hour. Then we're going to finish this module together, and tomorrow you're going to show Brian that his little game doesn't work when people refuse to play by his rules. She walked away before I could argue. I called Rachel. She picked up on the 4th ring. I'm coming home soon, I said. I know I've been awful. I know I'm failing you and Tyler. But I'm trying to fix it. Are you? The question hurt because I didn't know the answer. I'm trying to try, I said. She was quiet for so long I thought she'd hung up. Then, that's something I guess. When Jessica came back, we worked until 9. My code compiled. My module passed its first integration test. The error messages turned green. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than fear. Monday morning. Week 4. The leaderboard updated at 9 a.m. sharp and everyone gathered around their screens like lottery players checking numbers. My name had moved up. Not to the top. But up. Out of the red zone. Into yellow. Safe territory. Jessica's name stayed green at the top, but her lead had shrunk. I felt eyes on me all morning. Curious glances. Confused looks. I'd gone from failing to functioning in a single week, and in an office full of engineers, that kind of jump didn't happen without explanation. Brian called me into his office at 10. Impressive turnaround, he said, but his tone suggested it wasn't a compliment. Want to tell me how you managed it? Found a solution to the authentication issue. Interesting. He leaned back in his chair. Because Jessica's module uses a very similar architecture. Almost identical, actually. I held his gaze. We're working on the same system. Makes sense there would be overlap. Overlap. He smiled like a shark. That's one word for it. He wanted me to confess. To admit I'd gotten help. To give him a reason to disqualify me from whatever metric would determine who stayed and who went. Is there a problem with my work? I asked. Not yet. He clicked his pen, a small aggressive sound. But let me be clear. This initiative is about individual performance. Not team collaboration. Not buddy systems. The person who proves most valuable keeps their job. Everyone else is replaceable. Understood. I left his office with my hands shaking. I understood perfectly. He designed the game to be brutal, and now that someone was refusing to play it his way, he was changing the rules. Jessica was waiting by my desk. He talked to you too? I asked. She nodded. Told me to focus on my own work. Said helping you was admirable but misguided. Said if my metrics slip because I'm wasting time mentoring, that's my choice to make. We should probably stop then. Why? Because you're risking your job for mine. Jessica sat on the edge of my desk. Last night I finished my visualization modules. All of them. Ahead of schedule, under budget, exceeding every performance benchmark. I'm not risking anything. My job is as secure as anyone's in this place. Then why keep helping me? She looked at the leaderboard on the wall, names ranked by numbers, humans reduced to metrics and scores. Because the moment we accept that this is how it has to be, that we have to destroy each other to survive, we've already lost something more important than a job. She stood up. Brian wants us scared and desperate and alone. I'm choosing something different. That afternoon she sent me a calendar invite. Daily Sync Integration Review. 30 minutes, end of each day marked private. I accepted. Week 5. My module went live. Real data flowing through systems I'd written, authenticated by code Jessica and I had built together in those quiet after-hours sessions. My metrics jumped again. Jessica stayed perfect. Tyler got suspended for 3 days. He'd punched another kid again, but this time he told me why. He said you were poor, Tyler whispered, sitting on his bed with tears on his face. He said his dad heard about layoffs at your company. He said we were going to be homeless. I held him while he cried. Rachel stood in the doorway, arms crossed, trying to decide if she should comfort us or walk away. I'm going to fix this, I told Tyler. But I was looking at Rachel. You keep saying that, she said. I know. Saying it doesn't make it true, Derek. She left. Tyler fell asleep in my arms. I sat there in his dark room, looking at glow-in-the-dark stars we'd stuck to his ceiling 3 years ago when life was different, when we still believed in things like wishes and hope. At work the next day I was useless. Couldn't focus, couldn't code, couldn't think about anything except Tyler's face when he told me about the fight. Jessica found me at lunch, sitting in my car in the parking garage. You look like hell, she said. I told her about Tyler. About Rachel. About feeling like I was drowning and the surface kept getting further away. You're carrying too much, she said. Nobody can carry this alone. I don't have a choice. Yeah, you do. She handed me a business card. My therapist. I started seeing her after my mom died last year. She's good. She takes your insurance. I stared at the card. I don't have time for therapy. You don't have time not to. Jessica looked at me hard. You're going to lose your family whether you keep this job or not if you don't deal with what's happening inside your head. Trust me. I know. That night I made an appointment. Not because I believed it would help, but because I'd run out of other ideas. Rachel came home while I was putting Tyler to bed. I scheduled a therapy appointment, I said when I came downstairs. She was making tea, her back to me. For Tyler? For me? She turned around. Really? Really? Something shifted in her face. Not forgiveness, but maybe a crack in the wall she'd built between us. That's good, Derek. That's really good. She didn't stay. But when she left, she kissed my forehead. Quick and light, but there. Week 7. The leaderboard reshuffled again. I was in 3rd place now. Jessica was still first, but barely. A new engineer, Marcus, had pulled up from nowhere with numbers that didn't make sense. He's cutting corners, Jessica said quietly during our daily sync. Look at his code commits. Massive functions, no documentation, no error handling. It'll work until it doesn't. But it makes him look good now. For now. Brian scheduled individual meetings with everyone. Performance reviews, he called them. We all knew what they really were. Elimination rounds. Mine was scheduled for Thursday at 2. I walked in with my laptop, my metrics, my documentation. Proof that I'd turned it around. Proof that I was valuable. Brian didn't even look at my screen. I'm going to be direct, Derek. Your early performance put you in a difficult position. While you've shown improvement, the question is whether that improvement is sustainable without external assistance. My code works. My modules are deployed. The metrics speak for themselves. Metrics can be misleading. He folded his hands. I need team members who can perform independently under pressure. What I've seen from you is someone who needed significant support to meet basic expectations. My chest tightened. Are you firing me? I'm being transparent about where you stand. When final decisions are made next month, consistency and independence will be the determining factors. He smiled. Of course, if you wanted to demonstrate true capability, you could tackle the legacy customer portal migration. The one that's been stuck in limbo for 18 months. Solo project. No collaboration. Was a trap. The portal migration was a graveyard project, where initiatives went to die. 3 senior engineers had tried and failed. He was offering me a chance to hang myself. I'll do it, I said. His smile widened. Excellent. I'll update the leaderboard accordingly. I told Jessica what happened during our sync. He's trying to get rid of you, she said. That project is impossible. Maybe. Derek, listen to me. Don't do this. Keep working on your current modules. Show steady improvement. That's enough. It's not enough for him. Then quit. Find another job. Don't let him destroy you over some game he invented. I thought about Tyler's face, Rachel's kiss, the therapy appointment I had tomorrow. I can't quit. Not now. Not like this. Jessica closed her laptop. Then let me help. No. He's watching. If I get help again, I don't care what he thinks. I care what you risk. I met her eyes. You've done enough. More than enough. This one I have to do alone. She looked at me for a long time. You're going to fail. Probably. But I have to try. 3 weeks. That's how long Brian gave me to migrate the legacy customer portal. 3 weeks to do what 18 months of senior engineers couldn't. I stopped sleeping. Not dramatically, just gradually, trading hours until I was running on 4 hours a night, then 3, then 2. Coffee and energy drinks and the kind of exhaustion that makes your teeth hurt. Rachel noticed. You look terrible. I'm fine. No, you're not. But she didn't push. We were in a fragile place, held together by therapy sessions and careful words. Tyler drew me a picture. A stick figure at a computer with the words, "My dad the superhero," in crayon. I taped it to my monitor. The code was a nightmare. 10 years of patches and fixes and duct tape solutions. Whoever built it originally had apparently never heard of documentation. Every function was a mystery. Every connection points to a potential failure. Jessica stopped by my desk on day 5. How's it going? It's going. She looked at my screen, at the energy drink cans piled up, at the dark circles under my eyes. You're going to burn out. Probably. Let me? No. She left. But the next morning there was a breakfast sandwich on my desk. Still warm. No note. Day 8 I found the first breakthrough. A comment buried in 6,000 lines of code, a breadcrumb left by some developer long gone. See auth_legacy_bridge for token mapping. I'd been staring at the authentication flow for days, and here was the answer, hidden in a comment. Day 12 I had it working. Not perfectly, but working. The portal loaded. Data migrated. Users could log in. I tested it for 3 straight days, hunting for bugs, fixing edge cases, documenting everything obsessively. Brian wanted independence? I'd give him independence so thorough he'd have no choice but to acknowledge it. Day 18 I submitted my code for review. Day 19 the portal went into production testing. Day 20 it crashed. Art. Took down the entire customer service system for 4 hours. Orders couldn't process. Support tickets couldn't be filed. The company lost an estimated $50,000. Brian called an emergency meeting. What happened? His voice was calm. Too calm. I pulled up the logs, hands shaking. There was an edge case in the session management. Under high load, the old and new systems conflict. An edge case you missed. Yes. An edge case that cost this company significant money and reputation damage. I can fix it. I just need. You need to accept that some people aren't cut out for this level of work. He looked at everyone in the meeting. This is what happens when we lower our standards. When we accommodate mediocrity. I sat there while he dismantled me in front of the team. Professionally, calmly, brutally. When the meeting ended, I walked to my desk like a ghost. Started packing my things into a box because I knew what came next. Jessica appeared. I told you to let me help, she said. You were right. I looked at your code. She pulled up her laptop. The edge case you missed? It's not your fault. There's a race condition in the legacy database that no one documented. You couldn't have known without access to the production server logs. Doesn't matter now. It does matter. She showed me her screen. I found the fix. 10 lines of code. I can have it deployed in an hour. I looked at the box on my desk, half filled with my life. Why are you still helping me? Because I want to live in a world where we help each other. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. She started typing. Go home, Derek. Kiss your kid. Have dinner with your wife. I've got this. The fix worked. The portal stabilized. Customer service came back online. The crisis ended. Monday morning, week 12, final leaderboard update. Jessica. First place by a margin so wide it wasn't even close. Me, second place by the thinnest possible measure. Marcus had flamed out spectacularly in week 9 when his corner cutting caught up with him. 3 other engineers had been let go quietly over the previous month. The office felt emptier, sadder. Brian called us both into his office. "Congratulations," he said to Jessica. "Your performance has been exemplary. Consistent, independent, exactly what we need." Then he turned to me. "Derek, your turnaround has been impressive. Unexpected, but impressive." He slid 2 folders across his desk. "I'm promoting Jessica to senior engineer. Effective immediately." He looked at me. "And I'm creating a new team lead position. I'm offering it to you." The room went silent. "Team lead reports directly to me. 15% raise. You'll oversee the next phase of platform development." He smiled. "Congratulations, Derek. You've proven yourself." I looked at Jessica. Her face was carefully neutral, but I saw it. The flash of hurt, of disbelief. She'd been perfect, exceeding every metric, carrying me when I was drowning, and they were promoting me over her. I looked at Brian, at his satisfied expression, at the game he'd played and thought he'd won. "No," I said. "I'm sorry. I'm declining the promotion. It should go to Jessica." Brian's smile tightened. "That's not how this works. I'm making you an offer. And I'm saying no." I stood up. Jessica's performance exceeded mine in every category. Her code is cleaner. Her solutions are more elegant. She went above and beyond every single week while also helping me not fail. If anyone deserves team lead, it's her. "Derek, sit down. You're being emotional." "I'm being honest." I looked at Jessica. "You taught me that the only thing that matters is what you can live with in the mirror. I can't live with taking something that should be yours." Jessica was staring at me like she'd never seen me before. Brian's face went red. "If you refuse this promotion, you're making a significant career mistake. This opportunity won't come around again." "I know." I picked up my folder. "Give the position to Jessica. Keep me as senior engineer or fire me, I don't care. But I'm not taking something I didn't earn while she gets overlooked for doing everything right." I walked out before he could respond. Jessica caught up with me at my desk. "You just tanked your career for me." "Maybe. Or maybe I just saved my life." I looked at Tyler's crayon drawing still taped to my monitor. "I spent 12 weeks learning to ask for help, to accept that I can't do everything alone, to be vulnerable. I felt like it would kill me. It turned out it was the only thing that could save me. Derek, you showed me what integrity looks like. Seems wrong to abandon it the second it costs me something." I started packing up my laptop. "Besides, you'll be a better team lead than I would be. And if they're too stupid to see it, that's their problem." 2 hours later, HR called us both back. Brian was there looking like he'd swallowed glass. "After careful consideration, we're offering the team lead position to Jessica." His voice was tight. "Derek, you'll remain in your current role with the senior engineer title and a 5% raise for your recent performance improvements." We walked out together. "You didn't have to do that," Jessica said. "Yeah, I did." She smiled. "For what it's worth, I think you just became someone your kid is going to be really proud of." That night, I went home early. Rachel was making dinner. Tyler was doing homework at the kitchen table. "Hey," Rachel said. "You're home early." "Yeah." I kissed her forehead. Then I sat down next to Tyler. "Want to hear about something that happened at work today? Did you get fired?" "No, buddy. Something better." I told him about Jessica, about the promotion, about choosing what was right over what was easy. I don't know if an 8-year-old fully understood. But he listened, and when I was done he said, "That sounds like something a superhero would do." I don't know about superheroes. "Mom, don't you think Dad's a superhero?" Rachel looked at me, really looked at me for the first time in months. "Yeah," she said quietly. "I think maybe he is." She took my hand across the table. 3 months later, Jessica's team launched the new platform ahead of schedule and under budget. She listed me in the acknowledgments, but we both knew the truth. She'd built something extraordinary. Brian got promoted to a different division. Marcus bounced around 3 companies in 2 years. I stayed where I was, writing good code, helping where I could, going to therapy, having dinner with my family. Tyler's teacher called to tell us he'd been selected for the peer mediation program. "He's showing real leadership," she said. "Helping other kids work through conflicts." Rachel and I celebrated our 10th anniversary last week. We almost didn't make it to our 9th. But we did. And we will. Sometimes I think about that leaderboard, names ranked by metrics, people reduced to numbers. I think about the game Brian tried to make us play. And I think about the moment Jessica and I looked at each other and decided there was something more important than winning. Turns out, the only way anyone really wins is by choosing people over the game. If you're watching from somewhere that matters to you, drop a comment and let me know where you're from and what time it is. I love seeing how far these stories travel. And if this one hit home, you know what to do. Share it with someone who needs to hear it.